If you came across something like this on an evening stroll, how would you react? Would you jump back? Would you scream? Maybe you would make the decision to harm the snake. Or perhaps you might slow down and admire the snake. We as humans tend to fear what we know little about. And if all we know about snakes is that they are dangerous, we might be inclined to hate and fear snakes. This mindset is very difficult to break and is often passed down through generations. So when I was about 8 years old, I was out exploring in the fields behind my house and came across the gopher snake. And this was something that, I saw quite often, but at the same time, it wasn't a occurrence that happened enough to make it any less exciting. And so I was super excited to find it, and I took it and wanted to go show it to my mom. And so I brought it back home, showed it to my mom, and then feeling somewhat attached to this snake and even giving it a name, I think it was Stanley, I decided maybe I'd hold on to it for a few days as a little pet. So I put it in the window well of our house as kind of an enclosure for it. And 8-year-old me, didn't consider at the time that we had renters in the basement, and maybe they wouldn't have appreciated that. But the next day, I came out to check on Stanley, and he wasn't there. And so, I just kind of thought, oh, maybe he just escaped or something. And I wasn't too worried about it because, I was only going to keep it for a few days anyway. And then I noticed that our renters were out in the gravel driveway, and they had a little fire going. And they were like throwing something into the fire, and from where I was, it kind of looked like a piece of cheese stick or something. It was kind of strange. So being a little curious, I walked over to see what they were doing, and to my horror, they were throwing chopped up pieces of Stanley into the fire, my little snake. And they didn't speak English, so I didn't really say anything to them. I just kind of walked back inside feeling a little sad. But it's kind of just like a ridiculous story of how people react to when they see snakes. Fear and hate can cause us to do some crazy things. And that's in any part of our lives, not just in the context of this video. One life lesson that I have learned is that gaining knowledge and understanding is an excellent way to diminish hate and fear. I want to talk about some common misconceptions that people associate with snakes. The first one is that snakes want to hurt you. Snakes will never intentionally want to hurt you. And to be clear, some snakes, namely venomous snakes, absolutely have the potential to cause human harm, but it is almost never in their best interest. The only reason that a snake would want to hurt a human is if it feels threatened. Essentially, biting you is a defensive mechanism for the snake to protect itself, not because it wants to harm you. Most snake bites occur when people accidentally step on them or try to handle them, triggering a defensive response. A snake will never intentionally chase you. Sometimes a snake may choose an escape route that is in your direction, giving the illusion that it is coming after you, but it will never seek you out as prey. This just biologically doesn't make any sense. Another misconception is that many snakes, or all snakes, are venomous. Some people who watch my videos just can't believe that I would allow my children to be so close to a wild snake. In reality, about 10% of snakes on Earth are venomous, and of those 10%, about 7% actually pose a lethal threat to humans. So if you see a snake and are uncertain of its identity, the odds are that it's not venomous. But as a general rule, you should still never attempt to handle a snake if you don't know what species it is. Here in Utah, it's super easy because the only snakes that pose a venomous threat are rattlesnakes. The next misconception is something I've heard a number of times, and that is that the only good snake is a dead snake. Snakes do remarkable things for maintaining a healthy ecosystem, like eating rodents and other pests. But perhaps equally important to recognize is that most snake bites only occur because the individual is trying to kill them. Rather ironic, right? So if you feel that you are protecting your family by killing a rattlesnake, statistically you are dramatically increasing the chances that someone will get bit. Now, all the misconceptions that I have gone over carry the same message, and that is that we erroneously believe that snakes want to harm us, when in reality, the only thing a wild snake actually wants out of an encounter with you is to get away from you and never see you again. If you live here in Utah and want a safe place where you can warm up to holding snakes, I strongly encourage you check out Clint's Reptile Room in Springville, Utah. What a great place. Thanks for watching.